Oh, the goofballs at FEMA. Oh, God, can they get anything right? So, Hurricane Katrina, obviously a gigantic mess, and FEMA is a disaster in and of itself, and as the Lieutenant Governor of California put it last week, this government's responses to disasters has been disastrous. So, but you know, the wildfires, looks like they might have handled it okay. Things are going kind of well. So they decided to put together a press conference to talk about it. Makes sense. Something curious happened, though. They said, all right, we're going to do the press conference in 15 minutes. You got 15 minutes to get here. They told all the press in Washington. 15 minutes to get there? How the hell is anybody going to get there in the middle of Washington, D.C. in 15 minutes? That didn't make much sense to people, and some people are rushing in, trying to get there. But they have quickie quiz, what could be simpler? That's what our German teacher used to say back in 8th grade. Quickie quiz, what could be simpler? Given his quickie quizzes, a lot of things could have been simpler. But anyway, they put together this FEMA press conference. But lo and behold, there's a lot of press there. The guy's taking question after question, you know, and he's telling us about how the FEMA has really learned its lessons, and I said, okay, all right, well, that sounds good. And he takes a question from Mike. Okay, I guess he knows this reporter named Mike. By the way, the person doing the press conference is Vice Admiral Harvey Johnson. He's the deputy administrator. And then he takes a question from Aaron, and then, you know, another one by Pat. And he's just going through the question. Now, what's weird is that the questions seem kind of easy. They're like, well, could you tell us how successful FEMA has been in fighting the wildfires and why that's been the case? He said, well, I'm glad you asked that question. We have been wildly successful, to be quite honest with you, and it's because of the great people that work here, including me. Okay, so this is a weird press conference, and Al came into the Washington Post, thinks, wait a minute, I think I know who these people are. I think Mike is Mike Wadomski, the Deputy Director of Public Affairs at FEMA. I think John Pat Philbin is the Director of External Affairs, and then another press aide sounds like Alec Curran. And he pieces it together. It turns out there were no press there. They just invited their own people and pretended they were the press. And they took questions from them, and then they were like, oh, good question. I'm glad you asked that, because I prepared an answer, because we did this 3 minutes ago when we practiced. So, oh, God, what a bunch of goofballs. Well, now, in this case, Jeff Gannon wasn't there, so as far as we know, none of the people asking the questions were gay male prostitutes. Okay, so at least they have that up on the White House. So when they told, you know, the White House about this and Department of Homeland Security, they were all like, outrageous. No, that was a bad idea. They shouldn't have done it, which I'm surprised, because I would have thought the typical Republican response would be, go over the top. Of course. That's how all press conferences should be. God bless them. We're going to do the rest of our press conferences that way. In fact, we're putting together a resolution in Congress commending them for their good press conferences. That would be the normal reaction. But in this case, crazy enough, they were like, no. That's awful and outrageous, and they shouldn't have done it that way. So, here's a follow-up today. Swift action has been taken. That John Pat Philbin, one of the guys who asked the question and organized this sham, he's the Director of External Affairs. That's it, fired. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. So that's how the story ends, right? Of course not. Guess where Pat Philbin is going? Well, he didn't just get fired. He's not just going to go home. Come on, don't be ridiculous. Instead, he got moved to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So basically, he got a promotion. And, you know, if you think he did these ridiculous fake press conferences for FEMA, wait till you get a load of them at intelligence.